regarding your special education kids, kids that might be autistic, blind, deaf, or just some type of mental capacity problem, do you integrate them in the schools here, or they go to their own type of schools? How does that work?
We are in a transformation phase because the government wants the special needs children to be enrolled in ordinary schools. And the ordinary schools are kind of pushing them away. So like we are in a bigger, how do you call it, a stichting?
Organization.
In a bigger organization with like 10 different schools. And so we arrange one special needs school for all the kids in The Hague. Kind of thing.
Okay.
And between the regional contracts are that like there's a blind school in the north of Holland, and we can send our children over there, and they can send the deaf children to the south of Holland.
And what do you think about that? Do you think the special ed kids should be integrated into your classrooms, or?
It's very difficult for teachers to have those children in their classes.
Right.
Especially when the classes consist of many children.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a good idea. You have to be expert in so many things.
Yes. And what do you think about it?
I think that it can be a lot safer and a lot more educational for children to be in a special class rather than to integrate in words, but in reality.
Right. Now, one of my children are special needs, and I've seen how his integration is. I've actually gone to some of his classes, and I find that he's normally not doing much at all because the teacher doesn't have problems. So in theory, it looks nice on paper, but the reality is that teachers have to teach to the majority, not the minority.
Well, I know there's Down syndrome children, and they are enrolled in ordinary primary schools, but I think that's a different focus, because it's about children playing with each other, and many Down syndrome children are very communicative. So it's a different setting, but I know that those parents are really disappointed and frustrated that in secondary school this is not possible anymore.
Right. And do they get the kids with really severe disability types of problems, maybe breathing problems, where they require a lot of medical needs? Do they get like an assistant that helps out with those kids, and how does that work?
I think it's one of my friends had 2 children with really special medical needs as well, and I think in Holland we are very like social.
Correct.
But in terms of learning, like what is a child able to learn when a child doesn't have a perspective to be economically useful? That is not a focus at all. So you are brought to a special daycare institution where there's like really good people, experts on the medical needs, but they won't really look at the child to see what's feasible.
But that's for the real extremes.
But I think one problem is that now what she said, the integration of disabled people to normal schools, you get lots of theories that it will be better for children. In fact, a strong beside line is that the government always want to spend less money.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's probably all about in the end, right? Money.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
about being economically useful or not. How much
That's
do you invest in the future of a child who won't ever make money for society?
That's correct.
To be cynical.
No, but it's the truth hurts, right?
We are very happy at the last movement of the last 10, 15 years. And we talk sometimes not completely aware about Americanization of our society, because we don't know America very well. I've never been there, so I must be very careful to judge. But we have a really quality equal system, and that is because the government takes till now the complete responsibility for education. But there's a strong movement, liberal movement in this country who want to make different schools in a way that private funding, private spending, so that you get the better schools, richer parents who can pay more money to schools, and other schools who get less money.
Here, I want to make a distinction because here in Netherlands, you can actually have a private school, right? And it receives money from the government.
Yes.
So that's the differentiation, because in America, private school means no funding. But here, private school means they give you what that would cost the
Yes.
government to
Ordinary,
plus
yeah.
what the parents will agree to
As
pay.
long as you function within the system.
Right.
As long as you have the inspection
Sure.
and the control.
So in this case, the people with money and the augmentation by the government, you can probably get a superior education
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
but
of the resource that will be available.
Yeah.
For the completeness, there are private schools yet. But these private schools are paid 20,000 euros a year for a child, and they are completely without money from the government.
Mhm.
But these schools are still not
Nee,
popular.
maar je hebt ook die
Lucas.
tussenschool. Ja, maar die krijgt ook geld van de
Lisa,
overheid.
ja, maar dat is de Lisa College is.
Wel,
In any case, our type of schools are spent more or less totally because the right to start private schools is that everybody who can urge that you need to have a school. Mostly, it's based on principle like Montessori, which is education theory
Mhm.
or pedagogic theory or religious beliefs, and you have enough parents and you can create a school, then you can do it. But it's very hard, very hard to do, and then you get the money. But still, the idea that every child goes to a school where the government pays 5,000 euros for each children each year, that's the normal base in which you work. And then you have some little schools, little amounts of children who goes really to private schools. But the danger in rare money situation as you are now is that the state wants to create more or less a system that parents can pay more to schools.
But in the States it's really weird, isn't it? Because parents pay taxes to their local government.
Right.
And if the local government is poor, you get poor schools.
Right, so basically what it means is
It keeps you poor.
the kids that need the help the most receive the least.
Yeah.
And that's probably, it's a really large problem in America. So we talk about equity, but there's not much equity when you have a system like that.
It's winners and losers, isn't it? But the charter schools, they are like more like the European system, I suppose. Because they are partly funded by the government and partly by the parents.
No, the charter schools are 100% funded by the government. And if the parents want to donate some money, they can, but most charter schools do not receive any money from parents. It's somewhat illegal to do this unless parents want to donate.
Okay.
But yeah,
Voluntary, yeah.
but statistically, charter schools in the U.S. haven't done any better than actually. The latest stats in California have showed they actually underperform than the regular schools. So they have sometimes they perform higher, and they have the superstar charter schools, and these are the ones that you hear about. But normally they're no better than the public.